Hey everybody, Taylor is with us and it's Honaker Agency, Goosehead Insurance. He's going to talk to us about basically some diving into how, you can help your clients with getting their insurance, help you sell more homes and put you in a good position. So I'm excited to have him on tonight. This was Jamie Lee put us in touch with him. So thank you, Jamie Lee. And we'll go ahead and get started.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Taylor Honaker. I'm with Honaker Agency, and we're affiliated with Goosehead Insurance. Thanks for having me, Lori, and thank you, Jamie. Appreciate the opportunity. It's a husband and wife owned agency. We were both born and raised in Montana. I grew up in the insurance and real estate industry. We have one daughter. Her name is Ella, and then we've got twin girls on the way. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so we're gonna have 3 girls under 3 here shortly.
Oh my goodness.
We've got lots of family around now to help. So and North Dakota. It was founded by Mark and Robin Jones. Robin Jones is a real estate investor. So she in buying homes and investing in real estate, she said her least favorite part was buying insurance, finding insurance for the home. And that's most people's least favorite part. So she said, there's got to be a better way to do this, because a lot of times they would need a binder to be updated and then it would delay closing and it was just a headache. And Mark worked for another company and she saw an opportunity to where they could improve a process and started Goosehead Insurance. So we are really focused on improving the home buyer experience for clients. And with that, our whole business model is that we partner with realtors and lenders to offer insurance as a concierge service. A buyer does a lot of work to get the lending, and then the realtor works with them, obviously, to find the perfect place. And that can be a lot of work. So then when buying insurance, when we come in, we want there to be no problems. And we want it to be easy for your clients. So we do our best to make that whole home buying experience as enjoyable as possible. So bottom line, we take care of your clients. And with this business model, we are the #1 fastest growing insurance broker in the US. So Goosehead might not be a name that everyone knows yet, but with the pace that we have now, we're going to be
we know what that's like, don't we, guys, with eXp Realty's growth. So we've gone through the same growing pains and awareness, so we totally get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love eXp's business model too. I love that you guys are very much cutting edge, use technology to your advantage, and I just think that's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as the TED difference goes, we have the highest rating for customer experience in the insurance biz. We're up there with the likes of like the Carlton. They've got awesome customer ratings, and if you look at over to the right, we have an 86% client loyalty, which I just found out today actually that it's gone up. So we're actually at an 89% client loyalty. And with Goosehead, our business model, we have access to a lot of different carriers, probably twice or 3 times as much as most independent agents have. So we've got a total of 140 plus, adding more every month in total for the entire company. And in Montana, I specifically have access to 35 carriers. So most captive agencies, like a State Farm, they're only going to have one product. So if let's say they can't get covered, or a client can't get covered, they can't go shop around. They have to do all the work themselves and do all the shopping. We get to just go to another carrier, and if one doesn't work, chances are we've got another one that's going to work, and it's going to be better coverage with a better price. And with that, we evaluate all of the options and then provide expert advice on which coverage works best. The other thing that is helping our growth is that we do quick quotes and binds. So utilizing technology, we've got what's called the digital rater. And if you need a quote for your client, say you're looking at a house and you present it to your client and they're excited about it, and then they ask you, well, what's the insurance information into the digital rater, and it'll give you an estimate of the three best carriers, best rates, and then from that way you can at least give them an estimate. A lot of times after that, I'll go in there and find them additional discounts or get them better coverage, better rates. But it's just kind of a on the spot, you need an answer now type of deal. And then also our binding updates, we actually, they say an hour turnaround time, but actually it's more like a half an hour. So if you have a client who is ready to close on a house, you've set the closing date out, and all you're waiting for is a binder from an insurance agent, and say they're dragging their feet, sometimes they're like, oh yeah, we'll get it to you in like, a couple days, 3 to 5 business days. We can do it within a half an hour. And we have an entire support team that is dedicated specifically just for getting those binders turned around, updated, and back to you within the hour. The other thing that you get while working with us is that we try to offer as much marketing support as we can. Jamie knows this. We've talked to great lengths on how we can help market each other's business and how we can brainstorm. And with a lot of the changes that are going on in the market, you have to get a little bit more creative. And we offer a lot of insight. And if you ever want somebody to support you in that, we always jump at the opportunity to help market.
I don't know about you guys, but I think that with them being able to continue to shop around for you, I absolutely hate the digital world we've gotten into where you have to get quotes yourself. For them to be able to do it for you and you don't have to go through entering your information over and over and over again, it's incredible. I think that's awesome that they can do that. And as far as marketing, especially with EXP, because we do want to make sure that we're helping our fellow agent be able to grow their business, utilize him, if you're doing your lunch and learns, if you want to be able to do where you guys are actually inviting maybe he and another vendor to actually share information live with your clients, it's just going to put you above what other people are doing. So, a lot of buyers don't understand homeowners insurance. They can get really screwed if they don't have the right agent. They're not getting the right information and the right policies. I think you guys remember last year we went over wells and how important it is to make sure you have like earthquake coverage. If there's an earthquake, it could crack your well, then you're really screwed on that. So, that's one thing that you want to make sure that you're getting them in touch with somebody like Tayler, because he's going to make sure he explains to them the different policies to make sure they're covered. Montana's different. They're coming in from other states that they may not know, what kind of things happen here. So that's really valuable. So thank you, Tayler, for mentioning that.
Even with fires, just like with Brenda, she didn't know she did not have replacement, and she ended up buying a house. She's not rebuilding, but she went in, she got her stuff replaced, the money for the things that were in the house, but she cannot replace her house.
That's awful. And then you said you are through in every state, correct? You're in every state?
We have a Goosehead agent in every state. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
I am in Montana, North Dakota, and then adding more and more, every year.
So the reason
is
I'm
my plan.
asking is because we have people on our team in other states. For example, Cindy's in Texas. So if we wanted to, we could have the ability to have you refer them to another agent, correct? And
Absolutely.
wherever they're
Yep.
at. Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was,
absolutely.
that was one of my questions as well. Okay, good.
Yep.
So Taylor, how do you get paid?
We get paid off of the commission. So with any premium that we write, we get a commission premium.
So you're
And then-
you're a broker, right? That's
Correct.
kind of what you are.
Yeah, and Montana, in Montana, as a broker, I can actually charge what we call an agency fee, which is basically, you hire me to shop around and find you the best policy, talk to underwriting, making sure that I get all of the discounts for you. Just because Goosehead, it's easy for me to do this, and I'm new, we're hungry, we're not like at the point to where we're having to hire a bunch of people. If business blows up and gets really good, we might have to start charging that agency fee. But I've at least made a commitment to anybody that works the first year to charge anything for the agency fee. A lot of other people will, but I've made that commitment to not in my first year. And then going back to kind of what Jamie was saying, with having access to the digital rater yourselves, that you didn't know about, or it might be in a wildfire area that can increase the risks, and therefore higher coverage is needed. So that's kind of why it's a nice thing to have for you guys as well, is you can just check that stuff right away. You don't even have to be with the client, but if you wanted to check it on your own time, you absolutely can. You don't have to call me to get a quote, which I would absolutely get one for you. But we try to make it as easy as possible on you guys. So yeah, that's I guess I just went over that, the high tech with the human touch. We make getting a quote fast and easy, and then you guys can use it at any point. And then also we open up our entire binder service team up to you guys as well. So if you're in a bind, or I guess if you guys are in a pinch, you guys could just send the email off and CC me, and then I'll make sure that it's getting back to you guys in that 1 hour or less.
You guys 9 to 5ers, or can we get a hold of you almost, after hours?
Yeah. So we'll stay open until 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I work 24/7. I mean, you guys could always call me, but our binder team, they stay open until 7 Mountain Standard Time. And we have corporate offices in every time zone. And then they also open at I don't know, what time is it on the East Coast for here? So if you wanted to send something off at 7, you could essentially send it off in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they would get back to you before 8 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of times we get asked, well, when is the right time to refer my client? So the best time is going to be during that option period. And as I'm sure you guys are aware, it's that short window of time after an offer is accepted, during which you and your client take a closer look at the new home. So that's where you want to get going on getting the binder ready, making sure that the insurance is affordable, and then also before or after an appraisal for peace of mind, we can take a look at the appraisal and run our own replacement cost estimator to see what it would cost to replace a home in the event of a total loss at current market, what it's going to actually cost. And I also, I'm always talking to builders and other people that basically are have their finger on the pulse of the market. They know what material costs are, and they know what labor costs are. So it's another advantage to using this. You know, on the flood zone and the wildfire determination. And then, yeah, always bring us in when there's an opportunity if their current insurance agent is delaying closing. I actually get this a lot where my referral partners, they'll say, hey, they've got insurance, but their insurance guy is like not getting back to us, and we're going to have to delay closing. So I told my client, like, I know a guy, let's just go with him. He'll get back to us same day. So that actually happens quite a bit.
So why would it be that
Yeah.
somebody wouldn't do replacement cost insurance, like, you know, what she was talking about with Brenda? Why is it that much more expensive to add it?
It is. It can add sometimes between $200 to $400 on the premium. Another thing, sometimes an older home, you won't get full replacement cost. You get what's called a close to replacement cost, because some of the material is like old oak, hardwood that is just, you know, you can't get anymore. But the quality of the material, and then also sometimes they just don't make anymore. So that's where sometimes you'll see where a carrier will say, hey, we won't do replacement cost, but we'll do close to replacement cost, which is basically the best material or close to. And a lot of times our carriers require that our clients sign off on the fact that they don't want replacement cost, because they're seeing this a lot of times. Where, you know, it's like, hey, hopefully I explained this correctly, or you know, do you have any questions about what replacement is versus actual cash value? So the one point that I hit on with it's referred to make sure that they understand exactly the risks involved. And then
Good. Well, I'm glad that you have them sign that, because that's a big deal to not have, you know, if somebody comes back and says, why didn't you tell me? At least you have that sign saying that you did.
Yeah, she was completely under the impression that she had it. And so she was okay in the beginning. And then when she told her she didn't have it, she always thought she did. So it was new to her. So
yeah. And gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that for her. And it's just reiterates how important it is for me as an agent to make sure that all of those things are being explained, and that they truly do understand it. And the other thing with replacement cost is, you know, material costs have gone up. So some people haven't looked at their insurance in years. You know, they just say, yeah, just renew me, and then they don't revisit. And now with inflation, you know, it's gone up significantly. So now they're underinsured. So this is again why I always try to stress it's good to actually look at your policy every single year. And if you see the cost of stuff going up, if you see the cost of labor going up, that's a good indication that you need to look at your policy, because you could be underinsured. Yeah, great questions. All good questions.
As far as like somebody's house burns down and then they need to have somewhere to stay, what kind of coverage do they have as far as, you know, hotel? You know, how long do they get that coverage? If you can give kind of a general idea of that process after something like that happens.
Yeah, so it's what's called loss of use. So good example is a client of mine had somebody drive their vehicle through their living room, essentially in the wintertime when it was cold. And so they couldn't get anybody to come in and patch that hole. So basically they were living in their house with a big hole in it in the middle of winter. And they were like, you know, what are we going to do? and that loss of use comes in, and that'll pay until that's fixed. And typically what we see is 50% of the dwelling coverage. So if you have a $300,000 dwelling coverage on your home, and you have loss of use, it's a total loss, or somebody knocks a big hole in your wall, it's going to cover you up to $150,000, and it's going to pay. Okay. So yeah, it's just, again, going over the loss of use. It's important to have, and we go over that with our clients. Sometimes we have clients that say, we've got a second home, so we don't need as much loss of use on this. And those are some ways that we can save on the premium. But I always make sure that the client understands that, hey, if you don't have a place to go, you should have at least 50% of the
Right.
overall.
So when you say 150,000, that it would be half of that, is that giving them the ability to stay at a hotel, or do they need to find a rental or something like that?
Either or, actually, whatever works for them the most. So yeah, it's not necessarily up to the insurance company. They can't like kick you out of your Airbnb and make you go stay at a Motel 6.
Gotcha.
It's basically up to you, but with the understanding that once you hit that limit, it's not going to pay out anymore. So
Yeah, there's fraud that happens with that, isn't there? Because I knew a lady years ago that her like multi-million-dollar place had either burnt down or partially or whatever. So she claimed that she was staying in an equal, place for the rent. She was collecting the checks and found out she was actually staying with a friend during that time and had collected the checks. So she was brought up, I don't know what they call that, for those charges, but have you heard of that happening, very often?
I have. Yeah, that happens a lot. But the thing is insurance companies, as great as they are, they don't want to pay out. So they're going to try to do everything that they can to make sure that they're not having to pay out for the good and for the bad. In example, Safeco. What's that?
Nothing.
So like, for example, Safeco, they have a great feature or coverage for people in wildfire areas. They'll actually, if there's a wildfire coming close to your house, they'll actually go out there. They'll hire a whole team to basically just stand in front of your house and try to put the fire out, not worrying about everybody else's properties, but just yours specifically. They'll cover it in the retardant and everything to try to save that house.
Well,
Wow.
It's cheaper for them. That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that was one thing I explained to them. I was like, hey, Safeco does this has this great policy where they'll come out and protect your house.
That is
like, oh, we need to talk about
crazy. That's awesome. I know there's like Progressive won't insure a lot of the houses over here because they come up in that fire too close to the trees and the woods. So that's good to know that that Safeco will insure, but then they also have, the ability to care enough to go out and try to protect your home. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And same goes for flooding. We have access to a lot of tools that most agents or other agencies don't. So we use like real-time flooding, flood data. A lot of the flood plains have been changed this year with with all of the flooding that's been going on. We have what the insurance industry refers to as a 100-year flood. Basically, there's a 1%. So that's a 1% chance of a flood occurring. That's what they refer to as a 100-year flood basically. So that's what we all a lot of places experience, especially in like Red Lodge, around Red Lodge, where previously homeowners thought that it was safe, their homes were safe, you know, because a lot of times before all of the flooding occurred, I would talk to clients and say, hey, do you want flood insurance? We offer independent flood insurance besides what just the NFIB offers. So we actually, you know, we have a lot more options. We're a lot more affordable. We can do more coverages than what is with the FEMA plan. And we've had clients where they say, oh, you know, flooding hasn't occurred here. You know, my grandfather owned this house and there was never a flood. And now we don't get that as much. When I'm speaking with people, they're like, oh, well, maybe that's a good idea. I should get some flood coverage.
Yellowstone's a good example. There was a lot of property out there that never flooded, or at least for, 100 years or so. And I'm sure those people, learn their lesson.
Yep. And it's a hard lesson to learn. I heard that over in the Gardner area. I think it was like 16% of people had flood insurance. So that is just tragic. What's going on over there?
Well, it's so expensive too, and
it is.
Those homes were like wiped away, like gone, but just even the mold, the taking out the water and pumping it and all of your contents that are lost. It's a huge expense. I would hate to be told I didn't have that coverage.
Right. And the nice thing is you don't have to have FEMA's flood insurance. We have very affordable. They're like half the cost of regular flood insurance, and there's different options. So
very good. And you guys, if you have a contract, then it's marked in the flood zone, or if you see something marked unknown, check it, make sure, that you're checking the flood map. If you don't know how to, the insurance agent will be able to look that up too and check and see if a property's in a flood zone, because you want to get that addressed right off the bat, because some people can't afford the additional flood insurance. That takes their approval gone. And that really goes back to showing people properties that aren't right at what they can afford, getting them and negotiating them less.
Earthquake too, same thing.
Yep. That's true.
Very true. Lincoln, I think it was Lincoln that had the last earthquake that we felt it here in Kalispell, and I was actually doing property inspections over in Big Arm, and there was one guy, he was trying to pull money out of his home for equity, and his well was completely cracked and ruined from that earthquake tremor that went through from Livingston. So, he didn't have any coverage. He was having to replace every pipe going into his house from it. It was horrible. And, a new well. It was bad.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I guess with that, if anybody has any other questions, let me know. You can always reach out to me via email.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be in touch with you to, do some cooperative marketing and networking. So we appreciate your time, and we look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for having me. And I look forward to speaking to all of you.
Thank you.